Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 78. Crazy, isn't it? This week I've had a touch of a migraine and a bit of a cold that's lingered from Rosie bringing it back to us from school, which was a lovely present. And so it's been a bit of an up and down week, but I have got stuff done and I'm very pleased with the progress I've made. I've also finished a couple of super secret projects which haven't been appearing on this vlog, but have been taking a lot of my time. So that's really nice, and my bench has been clearer at the end of this week than it's been for months, which is great. Really nice feeling to see those things ship out and go to their respective recipients. So yeah, I will stop nattering now. I'll thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to chuck a comment below if you've got something to say. I always love hearing from you, and I do reply to every single one of you. And your comments really motivate me, so don't be shy. Please do say hello. It really helps to keep me going on this journey that I'm on. So yeah, please enjoy the video, and I will see you again at the end.
I really have ummed and ahed about this, and I still haven't really come up with a good solution, so unfortunately I've run out of time. Today is the final day of the build, so I'm just going to have to go with my backup plan. So let me talk you through this. What I want is, I want to have a bit of a burial area over by the rock. So these are the people that didn't make it. And I've been trying to work out like materials where I can make crosses. Now the scale of this is just stupid. If you look at the size of the tents, yeah, they're going to be tiny crosses. And the smallest shivers of splinters of wood that I found are just way too oversized even. I mean, that's just too big, even if I just trim off the very end. So what I'm doing instead, very, very simply, is I'm going to use a lead pencil to draw in shadows like this. I'm just going to put 8 in, I think. I'd already done a few before I started filming, so I wanted to check it out and see if it worked. And there we are. That went badly out of focus while I was drawing, but there you can see now that we have just a small cemetery for 8 people who didn't make it. So the final thing for this build now is going to be to tidy up the edges, so sand down where it's gone over the edge a little bit there, and also paint that edge. And then I will finish this project and get some pictures and submit them, and see whether it wins or not. It probably won't. There's been some absolutely superb builds this month, but I don't really care. I've really enjoyed this. It's not about winning, it's about taking part, absolutely. And this is been a lovely change in speed from what I normally do for these, where I normally go a little bit crazy. This one is just, well, it is what it is. It's very sparse, and I'm very pleased with it. It is the 27th of the month, and I need to finish this by the end of the month. And the extra order of sequins has not yet arrived, which is not good. So I have brought up Rosie's old bath, and what I'm going to do is potentially stupid, but I think I just need to give it a go. So I'm going to attempt to scrape off the sequins that are currently on there, and fun enough, they're not wonderfully stuck on. I should be able to do it relatively easy, as you can see. Just using my fingers, and then I should get most of them off. What I'm then going to do is cut up a load of sprues. Thank you very much, Roto and Doranth, for the idea, much appreciated. So I've got loads of old sprues, so I'm going to cut up a load of old sprues, and I will stick them on. I will also look for some lentils and some oats, also advice and suggestions from those two, so thanks again. And then I have the gold spray that I ordered, which is just here out of shot, there we are. And I will give the whole thing a spray. And then, if by that point my replacement or my extra sequins have arrived, then all I've done is made it look better, because I've got different elements than just sequins. But if it hasn't arrived, then I can scatter what I have over slightly more sparsely, and maybe I can get full coverage, and hopefully I can do that in the next couple of days. So fingers crossed the order does arrive, but if it doesn't, I'm just going to give it a go, because I want to finish this. I really want to put this into the little challenge. I just want to finish it on time, really. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is scrape all of those sequins into the bath, and hopefully save as many as I can and not cause too much damage. So I will run the camera, put some music on, and we'll see how this goes. Well, there we are. That was actually harder than I expected it to be. I have this little wooden pot now with lots and lots of sequins in it. The reason I was expecting it to be easier is I hadn't actually sealed that, so that's gluing down really, really nicely, which is good. So yeah, so you can see I haven't managed to get them all off. I may have another go a bit later on. I've got to get to work now, so I've got to stop. But I'll be able to now start cutting sprues up during my off time during work, get them glued on, and then hopefully do the have that done and ready to spray tomorrow. So that's got to be the plan. But I'll probably continue like coming along and just trying to remove more. There are a few that are still a bit loose, but most of these are pretty much in pretty hard, and that's fine. It just means that I can potentially glue my ingots in around what's there, and then when I do the gold spray, that should still be okay. So project recovery continues. So rather than just sit and stare and think, I want to get the tunnel done, I'm going to actually get the tunnel done. Had a lot of comments on the vlog last week, how good this is looking, but frankly I'm disappointed at how slowly I'm going. So and I've just had a comment from Mike from Paint to Life, who's saying really, really pleased with loved how it's looking. And that, along with several other comments on the blog, have prompted me to come out here now while I'm waiting for a build. I am technically at work, but I can't do anything, so I'm going to start from now to really push onto this and get this tunnel done as quick as I can, so that I can then build over the top of it and finish off the farm and get that video done, because I am collecting these together into one video, which is taking a lot longer to get to than I hoped. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm just using a little bit of neat PVA to hold these in place. It's not what I'm using to secure it, but it's more just so that it's roughly in place, so that when I start working around it, it will be enough, it'll be stuck in place enough that a slight knock won't jar it. That will dry over the next couple of hours, and what I'll be doing then is building up over the top. So the plan I've got is to put foam over the top to probably about halfway or 2/3 of the way maybe, and then have a section that I can remove here so I can get in and clean the tracks with the track rubber, but then I can put that back on again and it will look good for Rosie. He'll be enjoying seeing the trains coming through here, and still being able to go into the darkness of the tunnel. Thank you very much for the comments as well on the vlog to encourage me on that. That's really useful, and I do listen and take account. So I need to let that dry now, and then I'll be able to come in with some white foam and just start to build over the top, which shouldn't be too much of a difficulty. And then once that's done, I'll do a little bit of modelling compound just from the bottom of the wall down here, and then also just to build up a little bit of a slope up into this tunnel on both sides, so I'm not worrying so much about this side. So yeah, so a little bit of modelling compound, and then I'll be able to finish off, paint the wall, and do the field and the fences, and done. It's easy, isn't it? I mean, there's hardly anything left to do. And here we have a big tray of sprues, because yes, I do save all my sprues. And what I'm going to do now is just get a snips, and I've got this small tray which already has some that I've done before for rubble, and I'm just going to snip and snip and snip through today to get as many of these sprues clipped as I can, so that I can then scatter them onto the board and hopefully get it done. So yeah, that's just going to take me some time. I'll probably then end up gluing them on and then spraying them in place, I think, but I'm not sure. I'll think about that through today, but here we go. So my handsaw now, and I've split up about quite a few, not loads and loads, but quite a few of them. So what I'm going to start to do now is stick these on, and it's going to take me a little while, so I figured I'd just do this in stages when I've got a few minutes during work today. Not that that's going to be very much of my able to be today, because I'm quite busy, But the more I do now, the closer I am to being able to spray tomorrow, which is what I really want to do. Now, I haven't found out if I've got any oats yet. I need to go looking downstairs. So what I'm going to just do is now put some PVA on like this, and then start to put some sprues in place. And I don't want to do too many because I don't want to overwhelm it. It's not going to be all sprues, put it that way. It's more, it's a great idea, I like the idea, but it's more so that they act as a kind of highlight, or as they poke up out of the other cover and the other shinies that Smaug has gathered together, and hopefully they'll stick as well. It's going to take a bit of time. This I'm now worrying that I really have left this too late. I should have done this bit last night, but I was way too tired. It's only a hobby. So yeah, so I'm just going to do about that level of scatter of this, not too much more than that. So I'll carry on around the rest of the build as much as I can until I run out of sprues, and then I'll probably come along with some oats and scatter that over the top as well. But I'll bring you along if I do the oats. Well, there we are. Lots and lots of sprue, and I had to do several rounds of more snipping to get more. Duranth has just had another idea, which I'm going to use as well, which is to scatter some coarse gravel. Now, this is my gravel number 4, and what that means is that it's gone through. It's not gone through any of my smaller sieves, so it's just the largest remains of my builder's sand that I sieve down. And this makes sense as well, actually, to be honest. And indeed, this might be what I use to fill in behind the eye when I come to that. But I'm not going to put too much of this on. I'm just going to scatter it very, very lightly, as you can see, over the top, just to add a little bit more texture. And then I'm going to need this all to dry. And then I will be looking at spraying and then reapplying whatever gold sequins that I have, whether I've received the order I'm waiting for or not. By the time I get to do that, I don't know. But yeah, this is actually going to work out okay. And as I've been doing this, I've been thinking I should have done this right from the beginning, really. I should have been less focused on shop bought materials and more focused on making use of found materials, which is really what my channel should be about and what it really is about. So yeah, I kind of went off my preferred, and thank you very much to both the guys for nudging me and getting me back on track. So yeah, just throw some stones at it basically, look. Cool, right, I'm gonna let that dry now, and then we'll take it outside and do some spraying. So I'm outside, and you can probably hear that it's a bit windy. What I'm about to do is do the spraying of this spray gold, which is crazy. I've done a little bit of a test on the bottom right hand corner that you can see, and it's very, very gold. So yeah, I'm not sure that I'm going to actually spray paint it where it's sat right now, but I am going to run the camera. So I will get myself set up, put some music on, and yeah, you can watch this transformation. So the gold has come out like amazing. I mean, it's absolutely glittery and incredible, and it almost seems like a shame to change it. However, I'm going to have to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself up a bit of a wash. And what you can see here is I've got the kind of the deep yellow, which is what I previously base coated it with, and that you can see none of now because I've just blasted the whole thing with gold. And I've also got this reddy brown that I like so much. I'll just put a little bit, maybe a little bit more brown than gold into this bowl, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a watery wash, because these are both water-based paints, so I'm going to need to make sure that I can mix it up nicely. Hopefully this will work. There we are. So the idea of this is going to be to pin wash this in there, so to try and be a little bit subtle with it. So what I'll do is I'll point the camera over and see whether this works or not, or whether I need to respray it gold, which is obviously what I can do if this turns out looking terrible. Look at that metallic, that metallic finish. So the plan is to come in and just kind of brush it in. Hopefully it's going to work. Could take a bit of time doing it like this. This might end up not being a good option based on how long it's going to take. Yeah, but the idea was to come in and just add some depth to the effect. Now I am going to be putting more sequins over the top of this, which will obviously add some variety of variation of colour. But I think it also definitely needs to have a little bit of a shade. This might take too long. As in, I'd be doing it all evening and all tomorrow. Because what you see in front of you here is a very, very tiny part of it. So yeah, I might have to think again. This may not be the solution to this problem at all. I might let that dry and just see what it looks like before I waste any more of my time on it. I can pop this wash in the fridge and it won't go off for the next hour or so while this dries. Yeah, not so sure. Oops, that's obviously also an issue. Some of the stuff isn't perfectly stuck down. Not sure. Unconvinced. Right, I'm going to stop that now and put it to one side and come back to it in about an hour and see how that wash application has actually had an impact. Because the way I'm looking at it right now, I either need to cover the entire thing with the wash, which then means it needs to be a lot thinner than it is. Otherwise it'll then mean I have to dry brush, or yeah, it's just not going to work at all. But I need to have a look at it when it's dried, so that's what I'll do. Today is the 29th, and today my extra 10 packets of sequins arrived. So in this pot now, which has all the sequins that I was able to save when I scraped, there were also 10 more packets of sequins. Now I also had this large packet here of larger sequins, which I'm probably going to scatter around in places. There's 4,000 of them in there. But yeah, so the plan will be that I will paint on some PVA, scatter sequins, and then hopefully it will all go on nicely and it will stick, and then it will look good, because this is probably the last process that I'm going to get to do. So what I'm about doing now is I'm just going to empty these 10 packets into this wooden box, and then I will be able to extract from the box and scatter them on. So once I've done that, I'll turn the camera back on, put some music on, and you can watch. Well, that was a lot of fun and a lot of mess. However, as you can see, quite a lot has gone inside the bath. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let that dry for a good few hours, and then I'll shake any excess off into the bath, and then I'll do another application. But yeah, I think that I have just enough. I haven't yet applied the big sequins because I think that I will want to put them on during the next application, and I haven't yet stuck in the eye, which I do need to do soon actually, and I'm probably going to do that, think about that heavily now and do that between now and the next application, because it's going to fit in quite nicely, but I am going to want to fill in the gaps around the edges with some more sequins to make it look like it really sits in. But as you can see, that's really coming on nicely. I'm very, very pleased with how this is looking, but you can also see we definitely need some sequins here. But I can't do that until I've got the guy in. So yeah, I will bring you along for that, and then let this all to dry. So what I need to do before I can apply the next batch of sequins, and I have quite a lot, as you can see, that fell off, is I need to stick the eye in place. So what that's going to involve is a little bit of modelling compound at the back just to fill that gap in, and then what I'll do is I'll press that down into the modelling compound, and that will then hold it, and that's the plan. And then I'll potentially come along with a little touch of that paint just to fill in the gap, and then I'll put quite a lot of sequins, both the smaller ones and also some of the bigger ones, which I'm going to scatter over on the next application. So I'm going to do that mix now, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's done, because I need to wash my hands. So I'm going to mix up, put a little bit of modelling compound in, and fill that gap underneath just a bit, and then yeah, that'll be the next step done. So I'll bring you along when I've done that. Alright, so it's time to do a little bit of modelling compound. So as I've said, what I'm going to be doing is coming along and just building up a little bit of a ramp there, not too much, but just a little bit, and I'm going to smooth it down quite a lot, just to both hide the slightly scruffy bottom, but also it's going to come along and help support the bottom of this tunnel mouth. So I'm going to get that done, and when it's done I will then be looking at doing the over the top of the tunnel, which may even happen tonight. I'm suddenly feeling a little bit more inspired than I expected to be based on how tired I am today. So I'll just get this done. This is basically using up some spare modelling compound from another project, and I hate waste, so just going to use it. So yeah, little bit by little bit, very, very slowly. See, this is why I need the modelling compound, because I'm clumsy. Just absolutely smacked that with my hand and knocked it over. So let's build some modelling compound up behind it, and that should then mean that if I do that again it doesn't matter. What a klutz. Right, there we are. So I'll smooth that out, maybe mix some more up in a minute and come back and do some more, but for now that's the spare that I had all used. So there we are, that is now positioned and looking great. I'm very, very pleased with how this is looking. So I'm going to let that go off for a bit, and then I'll come back later on this evening and do another application of PVA over the whole lot, scatter some more sequins, and I've also got some little pots of glitter. This is going to be the most glittery gold thing I've ever made, or ever will make probably, so I'll probably add some of that on as well in places. But yeah, really, really close to done, and very, very pleased. I was looking at this and realised that it would probably be a good idea to fill in the gaps around the outside, so that then lots and lots and lots of sequins don't just fall down behind, because there were some gaps in there. So I've just used some milliput and filled in the gaps. It's yellow obviously, so it will meld in a bit, and I can always touch that with a little bit of paint if I need to. but I'll be putting a lot of sequins around the eye because that's going to be where the focus is, so I don't think it'll be a problem. So that's now going to need to go off, so I may not even get to put the next of the sequins on tonight. I'm not sure. I'll check it when I come back from my painting session and see whether it's off, but I probably should leave it overnight and then do the sequining in the morning, so we shall see. But anyway, there we are. That's now firmly sealed and ready for the next step when it's gone off. So overnight the filler has dried, but it is a very different colour. So I'm just going to put this kind of like goldy colour over the top of it, and I might then need to actually mask off the eye and spray paint, which I'm a bit nervous of, so I might not do that. I might just hope it works. I'm not sure how I could have gotten around this, because the only other way of doing it would have been to put the eye in and then do all the spray painting, which would then have really required me to mask it off well, and my masking game is not that good. So I'll see what it looks like once this has dried. This is the same colour as I put on underneath the gold paint, and then I'll make a decision as to whether I'm going to attempt to decant some of the gold. Maybe that's another idea I've had. So spray it into a container and then paint it on. That could work, so I might have a play around with that as well. But for now I'm going to leave it like that. That's a good undercoat, and I'll see what it looks like in an hour or so. There you are, that's worked. So I haven't been able to film it because it was just too much juggling, but what I did was I got a little paper or plastic plate, which you can see here, and I sprayed some of the gold, as you can see, into the bottom of it, and then I got an old brush, and moving very, very quickly I was able to paint on and cover up all of the milliput. So that's really, really cool. So what I can now do is the next application of the sequins, the large sequins, and the finish it up, which is really, really cool. So there we are. So we're coming to the final stages of this now, which is really exciting. So what I've done is I've put the build outside of room 13 on the landing and onto a big table covered with some paper, and what I've just found is that my glue's too thick, so I'm going to need to water it down some more. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along with the dropper. It will be a bit more watered down than this, and I'm just going to basically cover the entire thing via dropper, which is going to take a little while as well, so I probably won't film the whole thing, but I have got some spare, as you can see, and I also have some of the glitter, which I'll be able to put over the top as well in places, just to soak up any excess and to add a little bit more glitter. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to need to water my glue down a little bit more. It's a little bit gloopy. It's good for painting on, but not for droppering. And then I will probably scatter the rest of my sequins and glitter, and then dropper on the paint, the glue, and then let it set. And then that will be the whole thing done. Well, that's done. I've run out of the small sequins. I haven't quite used up all of the big sequins, and I've used an entire tub of the glitter, an entire pot of the glitter. I've got 2 more pots of glitter, so if I need to put more on, I can. I'm going to let that dry now, and I think that's going to be done, certainly enough for the build. For now, I'm very, very pleased with how it looks. It's just glittering. It's amazing, and it looks how I wanted it to, so very, very pleased. Finishing touches on this is going to involve just a little bit of the scenic glue and some light patches of flock. So what I'm going to do is just put some scenic glue in the places I want it, like that, and then I'm going to use the shop bought glue which I don't often, a shop bought glue, shop bought flock, which I don't often use, but I think in this case I'm going to, just because, well, it's about the colour I want, so I may as well use it up. So yeah, so we're just going to drop some of this in around the edges. I've decided that I don't want too much mud showing or dirt showing. I want this to look quite a verdant, green, growing area with maybe just a little bit of a mud dirt path coming up like that. And what I'll do is quite literally hold it over the top and sprinkle it so it falls back into the pot. And I'll do a little bit of this colour and then a little bit of the dark over the top, and then I'll be done. There we are. Show you in a sec, a little bit more of the light. So that now has some lovely green on it and looks perfect. And now we come to painting, and there was one thing that I have had to do. Certainly for Doug the Flatulent, you can see I've used green stuff to fill in the gap because he does not have a slotter, so we'll just like glue on over the top. But also Eric had quite a large gap at the side of his slot that meant there was going to be a big hole in the base. So I've just gone around with some green stuff and filled in the gaps that there were around the slots. So just a little extra step I had to do. And what I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to make use of Luke's Geek Gaming Now Mediterranean Soil Base Ready, which I have loads of because of reasons which maybe one day I'll get to. So I'm going to need to glue Doug down, obviously, so I'll do that with super glue, but I'll just quickly show you how I go about using the base ready. It is very, very easy, so I'll just quickly adjust the camera angle, I think. So let's do Eric, that makes sense, because he was the one closest to hand. So I've got the fast drying basing glue, which I'm going to need to order some more of, and what you do is you literally just load that base up. Now that's one thing I'm actually really liking about this set of miniatures, is the base has a little rim, so you put a fair amount of glue on and get yourself an old paintbrush. And the reason you want an old paintbrush is this glue doesn't wash off easily, so yeah, and just push that around, make sure that you get a good full coverage. You can add some more glue if you need, obviously. There we are. So with that done, what I now do is I take my pot here and I do this. And it's based, pretty much. Simple as that. So a little bit of a wipe around the rim. Obviously if you want to, you can paint the rim. And what I will do after this is I will then put some water down, PVA, to seal it. But this is that simple, that quick to use this basing stuff. So I'm going to do the others, and obviously glue Doug down, as I say, and then I'll glue him. I'll do his basing once he's glued. And then yeah, this project is complete, which is pretty awesome. Very pleased about that. Right then, it's time to do the tunnel, and I have a really good idea. Well, I think it's a really good idea. Hopefully it's going to work. So today, Rosie finished up a sheet of paper that she uses. She's been doing lots and lots of painting because she's awesome. And this is a bit of backing card from the back of the pad. So it's nice thick cardboard, and it does have Rosie scribbles on it, if you can see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of that to put over the top of the tunnel and build on top of that. Now this isn't going to film very well just because it's night time and it's dark, and I've actually got the light to help me rather than the filming, so I might stop filming and actually do it. But basically I've got a pencil, I'm going to draw a line here to the edge of the tunnel, and I'm going to come along and draw another line at the back to the edge of that tunnel, and then I will then cut out that shape. Okay, and that will be the top of the tunnel. What I'll then be able to do is split that in half, stick one half of it in permanently and have the other half so it sits on top, and so it's separate, and that will be what I'm able to lift out, and then I'll be able to build the terrain over the top of that without having to worry about it falling through or what have you, be able to make that really, really solid. So I will stop filming now because I think it's going to be a bit difficult when I'm kind of like contorting myself to get in and do what I need to do, and I'll bring you along when it's ready to be glued in, and you can see what it looks like. I think it's going to work. It might not. If it doesn't work, then I will have to think again. So that's worked, which is nice. Well, it's worked so far anyway. So what I've got is I've got the cardboard shape on top with a little bit of Rosie scribble. I didn't draw the shape in exactly the right place to get the Rosie scribble, sadly. And that sits nicely on there. And what I've done is I've cut out this bit of foam and shaped it so that it wedges in underneath and follows the contour of the rest of the layout roughly. And so what will happen is when this will sit in, I will cut the cardboard in half along here. One half will be glued to this, the other half will be glued to the top of the tunnel ends, and then that will be sculpted in. Now the only thing I'm not sure how I'm going to do is actually make it so that it's quite smooth on top. That could be the biggest challenge I have. What I might end up doing is having a fence going along, but that would probably be a bit odd because it'd be halfway across the tunnel. So I'm not sure. So I think I'm going to, for now, leave it to think about it for a bit. I'm very pleased with that progress. I've been thinking about this all week, working out how to do it, and I'm very pleased that that's going to work. The other thing that I will need to do is I will need to continue the brickwork along the inside because you can see in through the tunnel entrance, so I'm going to need to do that as well, and I need to do that before I do any gluing down, obviously, of the back half of the tunnel top. But yeah, at least there's some progress there. There's also a fair amount of cleaning on this track needed because it's got a modelling compound all over it. But that's why I'm doing this. It's so that I can get in here and do the track cleaning without having a problem. And I'm very, very happy with that idea and how it's worked. And thank you ever so much to all the viewers who have made suggestions and inputs on this. Matt, hugely gratefully received your input. And as you can see, I've tried to listen, and I think that's going to work. So yeah, all I need to do now is work out how I'm going to actually do this as a smooth. What I could do potentially is do this all as one, and then only cut it after I've got it made. But that might not work either. I'll have a think, and I'll bring you along when I get to that and show you what ideas I've come up with. So this has sat now for quite a long time actually. It's been busy. And what I'm going to do is I've just basically cleaned the edge and the rim with my finger just to take the dust off. And now here I've got some watered down PVA. This is actually my scenic glue. If you want to know how I go about making that, there is a link in the description below. But the brief answer is it's watered down PVA. So I'm going to paint that all over the bases, let that to dry, and I'm currently debating what colour to paint the rims because the rims are so prominent. I think I do need to paint them. I do have some ideas. I'm not sure what I'm going to do to paint him, but I think I'm going to paint these ones in this lovely fire orange colour because that seems to be the theme that I've gone for. For example, here we have Vicious Midget, and he obviously has got that flamey orangey highlight, and all of the ones for that for this race have the flame orange. So that's my idea for them, and I'm not sure what I'll do about the humans. I'm still not fully au fait with all the terms and what they're called, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm just going to seal these bases now and think for a little bit longer about what colour I'm going to go for the rims, but I think flame orange is what's going to be done for him. Well, there you are then. It was a week of painting Smaug Diorama and also finishing off
the Encounter Terrain Challenge, which was a lot of fun, and a bit of progress on the model railway, which, as you all know, makes me very happy. I'm stood over here because I have a few more things to cross off. Excuse me. So I can cross off Paint the Hero of Fortitude and Paint a Hero of Legend. And those were ones that I did a little while ago, actually, right at the beginning of the year, when I did my dwarves on the barrels out of Bond, because I have a Hero of Legend, which is pretty much any of them, and a Hero of Fortitude in there as well. So I think that Feely and Keely of Fortitude. So that's that. I then I'm kind of umming and ahhing about another two. I've got paint at least 6 models on 40mm bases, or paint 6 warriors on foot. But I've also, and I can tick off one of those because I've now painted up 12 warbats, and they're looking great. If I can remember, then I'll pop a picture of them over the top of this just briefly so you can see. But I've done 6 standard and 6 in a bit of odd colours. So I already took the painter model in a different scheme from Games Workshop, so that means I've got 11 models there left over. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross off paint 6 evil warriors on foot, which will be for those, and then when I come to paint the next 6, then one more, then that'll be at least 6 models on 40mm bases, because you can't reuse any models apart from for that central cross. Now this does mean that my warbats are not going to go towards a 600 point evil army. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that, but we shall come to that. Anyway, a little bit of a longer outro than normal because of doing the bingo, but thank you ever so much for watching. If you made it this far, really do appreciate it. Don't be shy, do say hello, pop a comment in the description below, and yeah, let me know what you think, and I will wrap up by saying, as I always do, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.